conflict. Coalition dignitaries will be arriving on Jupiter's moon Europa to take part in this historic event. All over the solar system, Alliance fleets are standing down. The Eastern Coalition, headed by Admiral Kulov, is just now arriving to take part in the signing of the treaty.
Welcome, Admiral Kulov. This is Base Kennedy Patrol. We are ready to escort you to the surface.
Alliance fools. Commander Romanov, commence the attack.
Da, Admiral. Senior Lieutenant. Signal the battle group to decloak.
Still on the bridge. I'm picking up some strange readings. What the hell? Mayday! It's a trap! I'm taking fire! I repeat, I'm here!
All primary objectives have been accomplished. Secondary objectives are now being targeted on all fronts.
Admiral Kulov, your strategy is working perfectly. We've caught the Alliance forces by complete surprise. What's left is in full retreat.
Sir, Vice Admiral Petrov reports the French and Italian fleets have been destroyed. He's requesting additional ships to house the prisoners.
Execute them all. We have no time for prisoners.
Despite putting up fierce resistance, Base Kennedy finally succumbed to insurmountable odds. There have been no reports of survivors. Alliance leaders admitted today that any hope for a peaceful end to the conflict has died with the fall of Europa. We have just received an urgent request from Alliance High Command. All civilians with any flight experience are requested to report to their nearest recruitment center for skills evaluation. The Alliance needs you.
ANS Reliant, this is Alliance Shuttle Delta 9, requesting permission to land.
Shuttle Delta 9, you are cleared to land.
Recruits, fall in!
At ease. You are the 45th Volunteers. I do not care who you were. As of now, you're part of the Navy. My family. We have a long and proud history, one which we must now fight to preserve. But more than that, we are our people's only hope. Commander Enriquez?
I am your squadron leader. Debriefing at 0600 hours. Welcome aboard the Reliant. Lieutenant Commander.
Ma'am?
Assign these recruits quarters so they can stow their gear. That is all. Dismissed.
Yes, ma'am. Recruits, fall out and follow me.
This is Heidi Moore, reporting for the Alliance Conflict News. Today, the Alliance High Command ordered the regrouping of its fleet around Neptune to protect the steady stream of survivors arriving from our fallen colonies and orbital bases. These heroes, who in many cases risked their lives to reach safety, have provided eyewitness accounts of events on our former colonies. Reports indicate that our captured troops and civilians have been detained or summarily executed. Other reports tell of civilians herded into camps and used as forced labor without adequate food and water. Asked to comment on the situation, Admiral Caldwell, presiding member of Allied High Command, made this statement.
We shall win this war and cast down this dark shadow brought upon us by the coalition states. Then, I promise you, these crimes will not go unpunished. Justice will be done. We shall prevail.
Also this week, the recently recommissioned ANS Reliant, under the command of Captain Robert Foster, began operational duties with members of the newly trained 45th Volunteer Squadron. Spirits were said to be high as the rookie unit left their transit station for deployment. In other news, Allied Command once again asked citizens to contribute what they can to the war effort. Resources should be brought to posted collection centers, and all of us are asked to do our best to preserve food and water. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, June 24th, 2160. This week, the Alliance Forward Fleet brought home many more refugees from the conflict engulfing our solar system. Klaus Steiner, leading Allied ace and the commander of the elite German squadron, the Vampires, heroically saved an Alliance civilian transport when he took out all 6 fighters in a coalition hunting pack. Also this week, attacks on Alliance convoys have increased. These attacks were previously assumed to be coalition units, but sources in the military now suspect pirate activity. This news just in. The occupying coalition forces on Mars have mercilessly crushed a revolt by Alliance citizens. Survivors report entire settlements were leveled by coalition troops, and random executions are being performed to keep the population in line. Finally, Alliance headquarters request citizens to house the ever-growing numbers of refugees. If you can help, contact your local logistics office on C-SCAN. They're waiting for your call. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, July 10th, 2160. Alliance Fleet is now providing military escort for Alliance convoys and vessels escaping from our former colonies. Their destination, our bases around Neptune. In what has become known as Operation Shield, Alliance forces have started to slowly stem the shipping losses that have plagued our convoys over recent weeks. Flying off the ANS Yamato, the Ronin squadron on a routine patrol surprised and destroyed the coalition cruiser CS Pachenka. High Command believes the Pachenka was acting as a forward command ship for coalition hunting packs. Senior military sources are said to be encouraged that our frontline squadrons are now striking back at the enemy. This week also brought the sad news of the destruction of the Alliance squadron known as the Hornets. While protecting innocent civilian transports, the Hornets were ambushed by the notorious Black Guard, led by Ivan the Butcher Petrov. Petrov earned his name after he ordered the execution of prisoners and civilians when Alliance forces finally surrendered on Mars. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, July 19th, 2160. Allied top ace Klaus Steiner and his Vampire squadron made a daring attack on a strategic enemy target believed to be a top-secret technology facility deep within coalition space. Alliance Command would not comment in detail, but sources said that members of the newly formed 45th Volunteers also participated. Today, Allied High Command indicted Admiral Kulov for war crimes. One of the coalition's most senior military leaders, Kulov is believed to have masterminded the surprise attacks at the onset of the war, as well as the slaughter of countless prisoners and civilians. Although the forward fleet has held the frontline quadrants against the coalition, the situation remains critical and supplies throughout the remaining Alliance colonies are dwindling. When asked to comment on the supply shortages, Admiral Caldwell said that the people of the Alliance must give their leaders and military time to relieve the situation. Admiral Caldwell did not give any additional details. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, August 7th, 2160. Today, Alliance Command reported that a network of early warning satellites and defense fortifications are now in place surrounding our newly established bases around Neptune in a bid to protect our now regrouped civilian and military forces. Alliance Command is confident that the sector is secure and that further consolidation is possible. With the fall of Fort Arthur and with Fort Rushmore under constant attack, escaping Alliance ships continue to fall back to the relative safety of Neptune. The stream of incoming refugees has continued as a result of the fall of Fort Arthur. Military sources are sure that this influx cannot last much longer because there is little chance of stragglers making it through the coalition frontline positions. In more news, the U.S. squadron, the Hellcats, has been reassigned from Neptune's home defense fleet to the carrier ANS Endeavour. Alliance Command indicates that the Endeavour is now ready for full operational duties. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News on August 15th, 2160. Acts of piracy continue to occur in Alliance space. Incidents have intensified with reports that rogue Alliance units may be responsible. Although High Command has not confirmed this, reliable sources indicate that an internal inquiry is underway involving Colonel John McGann, who is implicated in several recent attacks. In other news today, the Cougars, the ANS Mitchell's fighter contingent, were involved in a running battle with a coalition carrier group. The Cougars destroyed 2 of the cruiser escorts, as well as a number of their fighters. The remainder of the coalition carrier group was reported to have withdrawn to Saturn. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, August 26th, 2160. This week, Alliance ace Klaus Steiner saved a civilian hospital transport under attack by coalition forces. Steiner drew away enemy ships, giving his squadron time to move in and protect the convoy. Several enemy fighters believed to be the infamous Black Sun Squadron were destroyed. Today, aboard the ANS Bremen, Admiral Caldwell awarded Steiner the Navy Cross. Admiral Caldwell, already the most powerful military commander in Alliance Command, has announced that he will run for the presidency of the newly formed Alliance Senate. The president will be the leader of Alliance member nations until such time as hostilities cease. If elected, Caldwell will not only be the Allied Forces Supreme Commander, but also the leader of all free people in the solar system. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time.
Men and women of the Alliance, as you know, the last 3 months have been the Alliance's darkest hour. All-out war has broken out throughout the solar system. Our losses have been severe. Coalition forces struck on all fronts. Despite valiant attempts by our forces, Earth, along with all our major colonies, were overrun. Despite these major setbacks, the Alliance has rallied, and with Operation SHIELD, the consolidation of the Alliance fleets has begun. Thanks to your efforts, Alliance craft from all over the system have made the exodus to Triton, and the restructuring of the fleet can now begin. Although the emphasis has been on regrouping, counterstrikes against the enemy have taken place. Our forward carrier group has inflicted heavy casualties upon coalition hunting packs around Triton, most notably the CS Lenin, destroyed by the Ronin. Keep up the good work, ladies and gentlemen. It seems that it's not only our Top Gun squadrons chalking up the kills. We've just received word that the 45th Volunteers have destroyed the CS Ramesses. Excellent work, people.
This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, September 22nd, 2160. With Fort Rushmore near Uranus now in coalition hands, the Neptune Quadrant remains the only free territory in Sol. Many survivors from Fort Rushmore have safely escaped, but once again there have been reports of the wholesale murder of civilians and military personnel. Alliance High Command believes these will be the last refugees from Rushmore. Military sources indicate that coalition forces are closing a net around Neptune so that no craft can penetrate without heavy military escort. The fighter pilots of the fleet are again taking the limelight as the Jackals and the 45th Volunteer Squadron received tributes for their efforts over the past few months. The 45th, which achieved some surprising results for a rookie outfit, were commended by High Command. Most felt that the 45th should only be used for light duties because they lack previous military experience. The 45th, however, are certainly changing that perception. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, October 30th, 2160. Pirate activity continues along the Alliance's forward quadrants. Reports confirm that groups of highly trained pilots have commandeered a number of cargo and supply vessels. Alliance Command issued a statement today warning all military and civilian convoys to report any sightings immediately. All attempts to track the rogue units have so far failed. Command has confirmed that these rogue units are being led by Colonel John McGann, a veteran Alliance squadron leader believed lost in action several weeks ago. In other news, the first opinion polls for the upcoming presidential election are in. There seems to be little competition for Admiral Caldwell, who, if elections were to take place today, would be voted into office with 73% of the popular vote. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore, reporting for the Alliance Conflict News on November 13th, 2160. Today's top story. The Alliance fleet, now regrouped, has moved into a new phase in the war. For months, the fleet has been fighting a desperate defensive action, but in the last few weeks, fleet operations have become more aggressive. Admiral Caldwell, who was asked to comment on these operations, stated, "It was high time to take the war to our enemies." And this report just in. The Coalition Council has imposed martial law on Mars. Reports are being received of wide-scale violations of our colonists on the Red Planet. It is believed thousands have been detained or killed in recent protest as the Coalition has imposed new harsh rationing measures. Alliance Command has stated that all members of the Coalition Council will be placed on trial for war crimes and that justice will be done no matter what the cost. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, November 21st, 2160. Colonel Pierre Besson, a high-ranking French intelligence officer, was arrested today on charges of espionage. Reports indicate that his wife supplied information leading to his arrest. Colonel Besson had top security clearance. There is no report yet on what information he allegedly passed on to the Coalition or how long he has been doing so. We will keep you apprised of this story as more information becomes available. Pirate activity is once again on the rise, with reports of another Alliance military convoy coming under attack. Sources within the military have indicated that this is becoming a major problem. Not only are supplies threatened, but additional military escorts must be diverted to protect every major convoy route. Military intelligence has not yet located the pirates' base of operations. With the war escalating, it may be some time before these rogue units are brought to justice. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time.
Men and women of the Alliance, welcome. It seems congratulations are in order. With the exception of a few minor setbacks, Operation SHIELD has been a major success. Over 45% of the Alliance fleet reached the safety of Triton. No small feat considering the setbacks suffered at the outbreak of the conflict. Since then, we've taken the fight to the enemy. Although the Coalition has us outnumbered and outgunned, Alliance forces have utilized hit-and-run tactics. With losses mounting and communication and supply lines under constant attack, the Coalition fleet has been forced to withdraw back to Titan. On a final note, congratulations to the 45th Volunteers, now nicknamed the Flying Tigers after the famous World War II fighter squadron. This newly formed squadron seems hell-bent on winning the war all by themselves. Their kill-per-pilot ratio is second only to the vampires. Keep up the good work, men and women of the Alliance. Reports have confirmed that the vampires, assisted by the Tigers, located and destroyed the CS Tsar, a Coalition Class 1 supercarrier. Just 3 weeks from completion, the Tsar was to be the new flagship of the Coalition forward fleet. It looks like they'll need a replacement. Reports have confirmed that the CS Krasnaya, a Class 2 carrier, was destroyed in a joint operation by the vampires flying out of the ANS Bremen. Again, the Tigers were on hand to support the vampires. These two combat squadrons sure seem to be hitting it off in style. Great work, guys.
This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News on February 21st, 2161. Today's main news. Morale remains high as reports indicate that the Coalition is pulling back their hunting packs to regroup around Saturn. It is believed, however, that the bulk of the Coalition units are heading for frontline quadrants to reinforce its forward fleet. Alliance forces are in full readiness for what is likely to become the bloodiest phase in the war. In other news, the 45th Volunteers have found themselves a new name. A remark by Allied top ace Klaus Steiner has taken hold. Steiner compared their bravery and skill to the Flying Tigers of Earth's Second World War Squadron. Alliance Command officially changed the squadron name to the 45th Tigers in recognition of their achievements. Well done, Tigers! This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, March 6, 2161. This week, Alliance forces, including the carrier ANS Yamato and Washington, pushed far into the coalition lines, destroying a number of enemy convoys as well as a coalition forward supply base. Although coalition forces attempted to counterattack, further strikes by Alliance forces elsewhere in the front lines denied them reinforcements. Once again, Alliance Command's new aggressive tactics pay off as the coalition is forced into the defensive. If the Alliance can keep up the pressure, it is hoped that the coalition will not have the strength for a counterattack when their reinforcements arrive. Admiral Caldwell is now almost certainly going to be voted in as the first Alliance president, after his main challenger, Terrence Hanley, withdrew from the leadership contest today. Hanley, who refused an interview, sent a press release stating that he was leaving the race due to ill health. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News on April 15th, 2161. This report just in. Alliance forces, led by the 45th Tigers of the ANS Reliant, found and destroyed a mercenary base used by deserters from both Alliance and Coalition forces. Military intelligence believes this was most certainly the base of operations responsible for the recent convoy raids. Admiral Caldwell commended the Tigers' performance, saying they are an example for all in the Alliance. In other news, the final chapter closed today on the trial of Colonel Pierre Besson. The court found him guilty of 3 counts of treason and sentenced him to death. Colonel Besson remained silent throughout his trial and when sentenced gave no hint of emotion. He is due to be executed by firing squad on Sunday. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, June 6, 2161. Today, the Alliance fleet achieved its greatest victory yet. In a combined operation, the fleet destroyed a Coalition Class 1 carrier, the Gagarin. This loss of one of the Coalition's largest carriers will be a heavy burden for the Coalition, but most importantly, it is a symbol to the Alliance that this is a war that can be won. Even with this victory, however, military sources were quick to point out that the Coalition is far from reeling. The latest reports indicate that the Coalition still has twice as many carriers as the Alliance. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time.
Commandeer, I'm picking up a large number of craft. They are evacuating the Reliant.
Rats leaving a sinking ship. Instruct the Yastavi and the Kiev to hunt down the Victorious once we've dealt with the Reliant. How long until we are within torpedo range?
Commandeer, primed and ready to launch.
Excellent.
My, what have we here?
Looks like they want to make a fight of it.
Commandeer, enemy within range.
Fire!
Missiles detected.
Now, is that any way to treat an old friend?
Direct heat, Captain.
Commandeer, I'm picking up 4 incoming Keenan-class torpedoes.
Damage report!
Our port side engine has taken a direct hit, sir.
Damn it! Prepare to launch second salvo!
Commandeer, we're too close. We'll be caught in the blast.
Commandeer!
It's going to ram us! Take evasive action! Pull up immediately!
Commandeer, we can't climb fast enough.
Oh, no you don't. Come on, old girl. Just a few more seconds.
Men and women of the Alliance, welcome. The push towards the liberation of Titan continues. In a series of brutal encounters, Coalition's forward fleet was all but destroyed. But these advances have come at a cost. We're sad to report the loss of Alliance top guns, the Vampires, with their base carrier, the Bremen. Reports are sketchy at the moment, but it is almost certain the Black Guard was involved. Also lost was the ANS Reliant. Her onboard squadron, the Tigers, evacuated before she was rammed into the CS Volga by her captain, Robert Foster. Both carriers were destroyed. This final sacrifice saved the heavily damaged ANS Victorious from certain destruction. Captain Foster, the Alliance salutes you.
This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, July 11th, 2161. This week brings the worst news for the Alliance since the beginning of the war. Top Allied ace Klaus Steiner and his vampire squadron were ambushed and killed by Ivan Petrov and the Black Guard. Their carrier, the ANS Bremen, was also destroyed. This news has shaken morale throughout the Alliance as Steiner and his squadron were rated as the Alliance's best. Their demise at the hands of the butcher Petrov has added insult to injury. Admiral Caldwell asked Alliance forces to redouble their efforts in the wake of Steiner's death, calling on squadrons like the Tigers to step up and drive the coalition out of the occupied territories. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News on August 11th, 2161. The breaking news today from Alliance Command is that Admiral Kulov, one of the Alliance's most wanted war criminals, has been captured. Kulov, who masterminded the coalition's surprise attack at the beginning of the war, is also believed to be behind the cold-blooded murder of many civilians and prisoners of war. This news is a great boost for Alliance forces, whose morale had flagged after the loss of Klaus Steiner. Once again, the 45th Tigers were the lead unit involved in the capture of Kulov. The Alliance continues to push forward to Saturn's moons. Reports suggest that the liberation of Titan is not far off, a move which can only strengthen the Alliance by gaining many new resources for the war effort. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time.
Men and women of the Alliance, welcome. The battle for Titan continues. Fighting has been fierce, with the forward fleet concentrating its attacks against Titan's orbiting defense platforms. One target that posed a real threat to the advance on Titan was a Coalition ion cannon installation, codenamed Dark Rain. It was finally located and destroyed by squadrons from the forward fleet. Unfortunately, its destruction came at a cost, the loss of the ANS Victorious. Their sacrifice will be remembered. During the campaign, Admiral Kulov, architect of the Demos betrayal, was captured by units from our forward fleet. Reports state he was on a morale-boosting trip to the Coalition front line. His capture will certainly boost Alliance morale. With the elimination of all Coalition orbital defenses around Titan, construction of Fort Bear has been green-lighted. The liberation of Titan is now only weeks away. Here we can see footage of the forward task force moving into position just off Titan. Men and women of the Alliance, keep up the good work.
This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, October 17th, 2161. The war almost took a very serious turn today when Coalition forces bypassed Saturn and attempted a surprise attack at Alliance headquarters near Neptune. Once again, it was the Tiger and Ronin squadrons that cut short the Coalition assault, destroying several enemy vessels and support craft. Coalition forces have since retreated to their own lines. In other news, Alliance forces blockading Titan have successfully held Coalition reinforcements at bay. Alliance ground forces have liberated a third of Titan's population, and it seems only a matter of time before an Allied victory is accomplished. The price, however, is high. The conflict has already claimed over 1 million Alliance lives. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News on November 5th, 2161. Today, reports are being received that Klaus Steiner, believed killed in action, is alive and has been rescued. The Flying Tigers led the operation to free Steiner, who was being held prisoner aboard a Coalition prison ship. Military sources have not commented on the condition of Steiner or details of the action, but Steiner is recuperating aboard the ANS Yamato. The news is spreading fast throughout the Alliance fleet, and Admiral Caldwell is said to have talked to Steiner personally to welcome him back from his ordeal. Also today, Alliance forces on Titan, after bitter ground fighting, have finally secured the capital Tallius. The last compound captured was the Coalition's headquarters. Several high-ranking officers and officials have been captured and arrested, and all are to face war crimes charges. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News on December 8th, 2161. This week, Admiral Kuloff, while being escorted from the ANS Yamato to Alliance Command near Neptune, escaped. The Black Guard, headed by Ivan the Butcher Petrov, attacked and completely destroyed his escort, the Ronin Squadron. Sources within Alliance Command are furious that Kuloff has been allowed to slip from their grasp. The Tigers, who lost their brother squadron, are said to be determined to destroy the Black Guard once and for all. Klaus Steiner, rescued a few weeks ago, gave his first interview yesterday. He refused to go into detail about his ordeal, but he applauded the bravery of his rescuers and stated that he is now rested and ready to rejoin the fight against the Coalition. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time.
Men and women of the Alliance, welcome. The liberation of Titan is complete. On March 23rd at 1600 hours, the Alliance invasion began. Fighting was fierce. Resistance finally crumbled when the defenders received word that the Coalition task force sent to reinforce them was intercepted and destroyed by squadrons from the forward fleet. With all pockets of Coalition resistance now eliminated, the Alliance flag once again flies over Titan's capital. Here we see Admiral Caldwell decorating troops from the French contingent of the invasion force. These brave men were involved in some of the heaviest fighting around Base Carter. With Titan liberated and Fort Bear nearly complete, preparations are now underway for the advance on Jupiter. Taking part in that advance will be a number of former Alliance POWs liberated in a daring raid on the Coalition prison ship Saladin. One particular POW was none other than Klaus Steiner, believed killed in action. Let's hope he's back in the cockpit soon. But the news is not all good. Admiral Kuloff, architect of the Deimos betrayal, has escaped. Sketchy reports say that while in transit to Triton High Command, Kuloff's escort was ambushed by a Coalition squadron believed to be the Black Guard. Although the Ronin's fighters fought bravely, all were lost in the ambush. Dispensing some payback on behalf of the Ronin, the ANS Yamato and the ANS Mitchell clashed with the Coalition's Second Fleet. In a daring attack, the Tigers, using captured enemy torpedo bombers, succeeded in destroying the Coalition flagship CS Variag. With their big hitter out of the equation, the Yamato and Mitchell moved in. In the ensuing battle, the remnants of the Coalition's Second Fleet were all destroyed, the one Alliance casualty being the ANS Endeavor. With the destruction of the Coalition's Second Fleet, all roads now lead to Venus. Men and women of the Alliance, keep up the good work.
This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, December 30th, 2161. Alliance forces finally liberated Titan this week, overrunning the last pocket of Coalition resistance. The Coalition had held out in their mountain fortress near the settlement of Bannock until Allied Marines breached their perimeter. There are reports of rogue bands of Coalition troops hiding around Titan, but all organized defenses have been broken. Alliance engineers are hard at work rebuilding Titan's infrastructure to get much-needed supplies for its people and materials for the war effort back online. Alliance war crimes representatives have begun investigations on Titan. Reports are still vague, but in one settlement outside Talius, nearly 1,000 corpses were discovered. In more news, the Alliance fleet has once again struck hard at the Coalition. In a daring raid today, the 45th Tiger Squadron, supported by the Cougars and other units, destroyed the Coalition's Second Fleet command ship, the CS Variag. The Coalition can no longer threaten a counteroffensive against Titan. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, January 21st, 2162. This week, Alliance forces, after regrouping for repair and resupply around Titan, have begun to push against the Coalition. The Alliance is moving towards the strategic hub of Europa, Ganymede, and Io. The liberation of these moons and their industrial strength should put the war back in the balance. Although Alliance forces have managed to push the Coalition back, it has been at great cost. With the loss of several frontline carriers and veteran wings such as the Vampires and Ronin, the Alliance must get Titan's economy back to full capacity to reinforce their strength. Recruitment won't be a problem, however. Since the liberation of Titan, there has been no shortage of volunteers. Reports this week have also come through of the impressive 45th Tigers attacking one of the Coalition's main supply depots around Jupiter and capturing vital supplies. We should have further details on this operation in later broadcasts. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time. This is Heidi Moore reporting for the Alliance Conflict News, February 16th, 2162. Alliance High Command has reported that the ANS Yamato and the 45th Flying Tigers have engaged and destroyed the Coalition carrier CS Pukov and its fighter contingent, the Black Guard. This action has triggered celebrations across the Alliance as the Coalition squadron and its spaceship are responsible for the destruction of the Alliance's most elite squadrons and for some of the war's greatest atrocities. The 45th Tigers, a fighter group formed less than 2 years ago, has proven to be the premier squadron of the war. Further reports indicate that the war criminal Ivan Petrov, who escaped the engagement, is on the run. Alliance officers vow that he too will soon face justice. Other members of the Alliance fleet have pushed forward, drawing lines of conflict around Jupiter. However, there are reports that the Coalition, bolstered by new fleets created in the shipyards on Earth and Mars, is preparing for another assault on Alliance forces. This is Heidi Moore for the Alliance Conflict News, signing off until next time.
2 weeks ago, there were celebrations throughout the Alliance with the news that the Flying Tigers, in a daring raid, destroyed Coalition's headquarters off Jupiter, a move which, along with the forward fleet's liberation of Jupiter's moons, has finally evened the odds in this conflict. Excitement intensified with reports of the death of war criminal Admiral Kulov, one of the Coalition's most senior officers and the man responsible for the infamous Base Kennedy massacre at the outset of the conflict. Killed in the attack was Coalition ace Ivan the Butcher Petrov. This finally brought to an end the long-running feud between the Tigers and the Black Guard. On a sadder note, Alliance Command reports the loss of Klaus Steiner, who died while helping the Tigers destroy the Coalition headquarters. Squadron Leader Steiner is to be awarded the Medal of Honor, the Alliance's most prestigious decoration. Now, 2 weeks on, the Yamato has returned to Fort Bear for repairs. Many felt that the Yamato would never make it back from what some sources believed was a suicide mission. But as this live footage shows, the Yamato has indeed returned to a well-deserved hero's welcome. This is Colonel Carl Bradwell, signing off for Alliance Conflict News.